There's literally no way that this is real. Like, there's just no way. It can't be. Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Jer. And have I ever told you that I think I got by a ghost? Jada Shada. I am not a big fan of rumors, conjecture, speculation, or specters of the topping variety. But there is a list that is floating around the internet of a potential all-stars for Canada's Drag Race, and I am set for Canada's Drag Race anytime it's on. My love for that franchise is beyond anything I experience anywhere else globally. Like, I love España, I love Philippines, I love Thailand, but Canada's where it's at for me. On top of the fact that most of the Canada girls have actively interacted with my content. I've chatted with a couple of them outside of the show. This is the one I'm most plugged in for. So today I'm going to be placing this rumored cast in categories of charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, and determining how likely I think it is that they're going to be featured. I've been saying for years that we needed an all-stars in Canada. I think that we need an all-stars in a lot of these franchises, and I think that we should just relegate all the versus the world to a really huge global season. Allocate all the money that WoW would normally use on these versus the worlds, put it into global, and just get a ton of the hosts to participate and make the cast massive. Let's get into this. I only had a couple hours of sleep and a lot of gluten last night, so I'm in pain. We're hoping that this energy drink will do what it needs to do. What was that? I found this on Twitter. I don't know what the reliability of it is, but looking at this cast list, it is quite literally All-Stars 1 level of power and talent. And while on one hand, I think there's no way that this is real, there's no possibility that they're gonna bring all these queens in for this very first season. If you look on paper at All-Stars 1, you would never think that they would gather queens like Chanel, Chad, Raven, Jujubee, Latrice, and Manila in the exact same room, because how the hell do you choose a winner from them? And that's a lot of what this is. And I don't even think that there's a Tammy or a Mimi in this group. Like, even the ones who went out early are superstars. So we'll start out with the first rumor, which is Scarlett Bobo from season 1. If any of you have watched any of my alternate universes of who I would cast from Canada's Drag Race to participate in an All-Stars, or if you've watched any of my Drag Race simulators, Scarlett has been featured almost every single time. I think that Bobo is the tea. Bobo was such a powerhouse in her first season. I think that Bobo is a shoo-in, and I wonder what they would do with her storyline. She's been off the show for a very long time, but is someone who stayed in the mouths of a lot of folks. Someone who people have asked to participate in either a versus the world or a global. I'm confused why Bobo wasn't in the first global season. She is the epitome of that nerve category. I think Bobo is one of the early archetypes of this punk rock queen on Canada's Drag Race. Bobo's kind of the pipeline to Van Gogh. They tried to find queens along the way that had her same energy, that sort of IDGA fool skater kid kind of a vibe that just is locked into the competition, isn't really interested in making friends, just wants to do their very best, and is pretty well-rounded in their presentation. I think in likeliness of being cast, Bobo is at a 9 on a 10-point scale. Next from season 1 is Juicebox. She is the pork chop of Canada's Drag Race, and I think such a deep pull is a pretty big swing because we as the audience would have absolutely no idea what to expect from her. Juice does a lot of streaming on Twitch, and I think I've caught 1 or 2 of her lives before. She's very charismatic, she's fun, she's got a cool aesthetic, but because she's not been perceived for a very long time on the show, I think it's a great fresh start. Kind of in the same vein of someone like a James Mansfield or a Kahana Montrese. A lot of those girls from All-Stars 8 where we just didn't know what they would do on the show because it had been, one, so long since they had been there, but also they had no screen time. She has one of the most iconic moments getting stuck on her fishnet that was even referenced by Minnie Wang in her season. I think that she, much like Bobo, is very much in the nerve category. I think on a 10-point scale, I think she would be at a 6 or a 7 as far as likeliness of being asked to come back. My question mark is, would she say yes? Because there hasn't been a lot of Canada 1 representation. We had Rita Baga in Canada versus the World. We had Lemon in UK versus the World, and then in Canada versus the World season 2. And Jimbo went on to win All-Stars 8. Priyanka is hopefully going to be on an All Winners, but that cast is largely underrepresented in the Drag Race universe. Is there a reason that they haven't been asked Or is there a reason why they haven't shown up? Maybe a lot of them have said no to opportunities, because I think I've heard rumors that Bobo said no to 1 or 2 things. So I wonder the same thing about Juicebox. Has she been asked and said no for a very specific reason? I think it would be cool to see the pork chop come back. Next on the list is Geometric from season 2. The only season 2 representation, and I can only assume that that's because we already had Kendall Jenner, Isis Couture, Stephanie Prince, Thea. Oh, there was someone else. I'm gonna get roasted in the comments. Suki! And there's also rumors that Adriana might be on Latino Royale. And I think a lot of them would just not be likely to be called back for the first season of an All-Stars. That has nothing to do with their star power, but everything to do with storyline that would be involved. The ones that would have the biggest storyline and reason to come back would be Pythia or Kendall. Gia had such a big storyline in season 2 that kind of felt unresolved by the time that the show ended. So I imagine that it is very likely that she would be called back. Alternatively to Gia, I could see them maybe bringing in Ocean. I think on a likeliness of them asking Gia, I think it would be somewhere at a 5. I honestly see them asking Cynthia Kiss before Gia. I think that Gia absolutely represents the talent category. She had so much that she was dripping with, but a lot of her run felt a little unfocused. I think by now, after all this time, it'd be exciting to see her come back. Representing season 3, we've got Kimmy Couture first on this list. An absolute shoo-in. I would immediately put her at a 10 for most likeliness to return for a Canada's Drag Race All-Stars. A lot of people have suggested that Kimmy should go to Slation Royale, but I don't know. I kind of see her performing better in front of Brooke again. I think that she would do fine in front of Pau. I just think that Brooke is her speed. Drag Race loves a family dynasty storyline, and considering that so many of the Coutures have been featured on Canada's Drag Race, including Kimmy's own daughter in the most recent season, I think it would be correct if Kimmy was there. She has some of the most iconic lip syncs probably of all time in the Canada franchise, and it would be such a wasted opportunity to not include her. In my opinion, Kimmy represents a lot of the columns of Drag Race, but most importantly, she falls in the charisma category. She's kind of got a little bit of everything, and I think the show would eat up having her there. Again, very, very likely to be asked at a 10 easily. Representing season 3, they have Jada Shada on here. I think it would be an absolute misfire to not invite Jada Shada to be there. I think a lot of people thought it was extremely likely for her to win that season, and back when I was reviewing it, I thought that Jada was gonna be top 2 right from the promo drop because she has that much charisma. And I think she is the perfect archetype of that queen that has so much personality that they can really muscle their way through any challenge, even if they're not very good at it, because they are so bright in their approach. Likeliness of being asked, it would be at a 9. As far as her pillar, she's charisma down. Representing season 3, they also have listed Vivian Vanderpuss. If they do not ask Vivian, I will be personally offended because I think that she is so funny. Vivian's gonna be the first one I put in the uniqueness category because no one is like her. She comes in first and foremost being a comedy queen, but also is tacky glamour. She is the pipeline to Sami Laundry, but maybe a little less wacky. Vivian is someone who was a victim of the Kimmy Couture lip sync assassination. She could have gone a lot further in the competition had she not been in the bottom to control, alt, and delete while Kimmy Couture was there. I see her and Irma Gerd kind of in parallel lines of likelihood of being asked. If they do not ask Vivian, I think Irma would be the next one to be called. And that's because they need someone in this group who's a genuine comedy queen. So far we've had talent machines like Gia, Kimmy, and Jada, a look queen like Scarlett, Juicebox, who's a wild card. So far there hasn't been a genuine comedy queen, and later on in this list are more of them, but Canada's Drag Race likes to have a good mix of personalities. I think that she is solidly at a 7 or an 8 as far as likelihood of being asked. Next from season 3 is another icon, Miss Mosu. If you listen to my weekly podcast, you know that Jessie and I stan this woman and talk about her often. She is so funny. She is so charismatic, putting her in the charisma pillar now. Her short form content has been blowing up. She is hungry to go back for an All-Stars or versus the world because I think she's ready to apply everything that she had back in season 3 and plug that into what Drag Race asks for. Because that first time around, I think she was a little bit in her head. I think there were so many expectations of what Miss Mosu does that she wasn't able to fully connect with everything. We've seen that happen many times before. The legend in their hometown comes to Drag Race, but for whatever reason, the plane just never lands at the destination. It hits the Bermuda Triangle and disappears. I think because she's so hungry for it and has been putting out into the world that she wants it so badly, I think she's gonna get it. You don't manifest things like that and not have it come back to you, with the exception of April Carry-On. But I think Canada's Drag Race does want wild cards like Miss Mosu or a juice box because they were out so early and they have so much talent behind them. What will they do if they get another opportunity? I think that she's easily at an 8 or a 9 as far as likelihood of coming back. Starting the representation of season 4 is Aurora Matrix. Ooh, I'm gonna solidly put Aurora in the talent category. She is a look queen, down. She is a personality machine, down. She gave great sound bites, great talking heads, great narration of the season. She's such a well-rounded performer and kind of does a little bit of everything. There was very little that Aurora was bad at her season. A couple little misfires here and there, but I think that she was completely valid of winning season 4 in the same way that Venus was. Aurora, much like Kimmy, is someone that people have speculated maybe asked for a Slation Royale, so I think it depends on who calls her first. Slation Royale does have a smaller payout as far as its cash prize than something like Canada's Drag Race would have, and I think that would be a factor in determining where you're gonna go as far as franchises if they call. It'll also massively depend on who calls first. During the first Slation Royale, people kept saying, we want to see Aurora come back and sweep this competition. So she may hold on to her eggs before sticking them in the Canada basket again. I think Aurora's smart and would be considering what her best option would be if she said yes to going back to the show. She already has a rapport with Brooke. She knows what that judging style is like. There would be a pretty decent audience watching. But also Slation had a huge audience. So I think likelihood of being asked is very high. I would put it at a 7 or an 8. Now, whether she would say yes is a different question. There's also a possibility that if anyone was gonna be asked to represent global again, it would be her. And Aurora is the only person being asked for season 4 according to this list, which is insane considering that Nira is also a part of this cast. And losing an opportunity to not get Kimmy and Nira lip syncing together would be such a flop. I think it would be very likely that they would try to get Nira. I don't know if she would say yes though. I think if Aurora said no, they would be most likely to ask either Amy Yonsei next or Kitten Caboodle. Personally, I would love to see Kiki Ko, but I also wouldn't horribly mind if they invited her to Slation. Starting up for season 5 representation, first up is Michaela Couture. Having Kimmy and Michaela there would be lightning in a bottle. I think it would be an absolute miss if they had Kimmy there but didn't have Michaela. Like, they need the Isis Couture multiverse to be in the same room together. I'm so down for this concept. I think Michaela is extremely likely to be asked, and I'm gonna already put her at 10 on the scale, especially if Kimmy is also on the vision board. Michaela, I'm also gonna put in the talent category. She's someone who I think is super well-rounded, both in looks, in comedy, and personality, but where she thrives is being able to plug in all of her skills to what the show needs. There's a reason she went to top 2. There's a reason she almost won. And in my opinion, I think that she probably should have won that season. Michaela brings a great underdog to front runner storyline from season 5. I would love to see her run not be clouded by any of the friction she already had the first time around. Because her and Xana were at odds in that season. And while I like drama, I would like to see Michaela be able to come in and compete without having someone like Xana there. Absolutely love Xana, but I just don't want their storylines to intermesh another season. It's like a Coco and Alyssa situation. Once was fun, but the second time would be unfulfilling. And I think Kimmy being there would be such fun social game. Also representing season 5 is Perla. Oh, we won! Lord, I have not believed in you in a long time, but if you're out there, please let Perla be on this season, I beg of you. Perla is my diva from that season. I am obsessed with Perla. obsessed. That whole cast I love, but Perla I was so rallying for. Here's what I remember. Perla did great in literally everything, but her biggest pillar, I think, was uniqueness. She is in a league of her own as far as her aesthetic and personality are concerned among the Canada girls. I think where Perla left off was at kind of a sour spot. She opened up about something deeply personal, and I think that was a lot to deal with and to handle, and I think it was a struggle for her to get out of her head. We've seen this happen with many a queen on Drag Race. They open up about some type of trauma they've had. In a most recent watch for me, I was watching France 2, and this distinctively happened to Moon. And you can see that she starts to spiral and wasn't quite ready to open that up on television. And I think the same thing kind of happened to Perla. Now that she's had time to focus on herself, to heal from that moment, and to have the experience of being on TV, I think that she'd be ready to come back and dominate and make it all the way to the end. She would be easily a top 4. I think it would be a mistake to not ask Perla to come back, because she's got quite literally everything that you'd want from the show. I think that Perla would be a 9 or a 10 in likelihood of being asked, and I think that she would say yes. Now there's some season 6 representation, and the first one is with Ebony LaBelle. Diva alert. My god, do I love Ebony. Queen, icon, legend, always saying hi to all the cute boys on Twitter. It's so soon after that season ended is the only thing. I think Ebony had all the right pieces. She's someone who was great on the runway week to week. She was great in the challenges week to week. Was, I think, realistically the only winner among that group, right next to Van Gogh. The two of them, I think, were the only viable players to get the crown. I don't think everyone else was quite as refined as Ebony was. If anyone's gonna be asked right off the season, it's gonna be her and the other person that is being rumored to have been asked. Even though it's soon, I think, of anybody, she would be the one who'd be most likely to say yes. I wonder if she would be able to get another package ready so quickly. Ebony is one of the most charismatic queens, I think, of the entire franchise of Canada's Drag Race. She is in the charisma pillar down, and I think as far as likelihood of being asked to come back, she's at a 9. And then the last one from season 6 is Sami Landry, who I do believe is the other most likely to be able to leave directly from the show and come right back to it. I think that Sami is someone who was so hungry for the crown, but wasn't totally refined in the right way that the show needed it to be. She's someone who does tacky glam, which is so unique among the Drag Race universe. That's not often done well, but Sami infuses her own charisma into that glam. I would say as far as pillars are concerned, she is in uniqueness down, but also nerve. It's so hard because Sami is sort of a jack of all trades. I think that she would be extremely likely to be asked. I think right after Ebony, it was probably Sami as far as readiness to take the crown, but she just needed a little bit of fine tuning. She was so close. My only concern is, would Sami be able to jump right back into an all-star situation? I think it's very likely they would ask her 8 or a 9 as far as likelihood. I think she'd be extremely likely to say yes, probably still in the mood to compete, ready to get back into it after being received so well and positively. I just wonder if her package would meet the level that an All-Stars would require, and I would worry that she would be kind of an earlier out because of that reason. Sort of a similar vein to someone like a Mayhem, someone who I think was very hungry to come back and to prove herself, but wasn't able to connect all the pieces properly. Maybe because it was just a little too soon. I also would kind of love to see Sami in front of RuPaul. Even though Sami's drag is so different than what the current rubric of Drag Race is requiring, I think that Ru would connect with Sami's energy, but I do think it's likely that the show would ask her to come back, and I think that she would say yes. So what do y'all think about this cast? As someone who very much does not believe in things until it's absolutely in my hands and I can see it, touch it, and experience it, I won't believe that any of this is real until it happens. There are a lot of hard-hitting players here, and it would be magic to see all of these strong contestants come back. There are thoughts online that I'm seeing right now of, this is a lot of winners. Why would they ask so many of them to do the first All-Stars? But realistically, if Canada's Drag Race is going to do an All-Stars, this might be their only one. They may get another one, but it won't be for years, so they probably are thinking they need to pack it with as much talent as possible get it off the charts. Hopefully people will tune in and will generate enough excitement that they can justify doing a second All-Stars. With a cast this big and with this many personalities, it would be so hard to figure out who's gonna go home and who should win the whole thing. But if it's this group, oh, I'm excited. Let me know what your thoughts are about this cast in the comments below and how likely you think it is that they'll be called. How likely do you think it would be for someone else to get that call? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all on the flip.